fiddlers like Emmett Lundy, Parley Parsons, Luther Davis, and Charlie Higgins. All those guys played in a very similar style, and it really is kind of dying out nowadays because it's not really well, the reason why is because I think I have a recording somewhere of Wade Ward said it best. You know, he's talking about Emmett Lundy, and they asked him, said, "Did you learn from Mr. Lundy?" He said, "Oh yes, yes." Said we all would go visit Mr. Lundy, you know, and he said, "Well, do you feel like you play in his style?" He said, "Oh no, no." He said his music wasn't no good for dancing. So you see, back in the 40s and 50s when the square dancing got to be a big thing, they wanted more of a hard-driving rhythmic style, and this kind of what, I don't know, the old-timey parlor style fiddling that kind of just went by the wayside for the most part. But you can definitely hear a difference in the style when you play a tune like this. This is Luther Davis's "Sail Away Ladies," if we don't mess it up here.
I started playing old-time music when I got to college, which was in Georgia. I went to school in Georgia. When I was 18, I sort of started digging in and trying to find recordings, and started going to Fiddlers Convention shortly after that, and I don't know, it just snowballed, really.
I never knew the difference between old-time and bluegrass. To me, it was just music, you know. Mm-hmm. And we just played what if. Sometimes you might have a roll banjo player, and sometimes you might have a clawhammer banjo player. Like Albert Hayes used to say, he'd say, "I play a little bluegrass every now and then, but I always wash my fiddle when I get done."
That's something I really appreciate about the music from this region, that you know, especially the generation older than you, that, you know, folks who were playing a lot in the 60s and all had a decade or two for that bluegrass to sort of permeate into the old time music culture here, and they liked what they heard. It was just kind of a fancy, you know, polished version of it. It was
kind of a souped up old time, really. Mm-hmm. But, and you know, for a long time, I don't know exactly what year they differentiated between the old time and bluegrass at the Fiddlers Convention. Yeah. But you know, Kyle Creed, for several years, he had Bobby Patterson playing roll banjo with the Camp Creek Boys, and they'd win every doggone year, you know. And so I don't know what year it was that they quit doing that, but it kind of, and some folks, you know, call that the Galax sound.
Yeah, I think it's great. I love that sound. It's one of the things that I think has drawn me to the music of Southwest Virginia, really, and I think it feels like taking the best ingredients or the things about bluegrass that work in old time music, but keeping that dance rhythm, you know, making it music that you can still dance to.
And that's the key thing right there, is that people ask all the time, you know, what's the difference between old time and bluegrass? Well, I say you can dance the old time. You can't always dance the bluegrass.
That's right. That's right. Not always. Sometimes you can.
Sometimes you can. It depends on the band too. Right. You know. Yeah, I remember when I was first, you know, getting into putting bands together and playing square dances a lot. I had kind of studied, you know, especially White Top Mountain Band, Thornton and Albert and them, because they had the right beat for dancing. And so I kind of tried to pattern off of that as much as I could, as far as the speed and all goes.
think that the dance style evolved, and then that pushed the musicians to start playing these more driving tunes, or they probably evolved together. But
I think it did evolve. And you know, when I was a kid, they used to do a thing around here called the Paul Jones, and that tune right there would have been absolutely perfect for a Paul Jones, because it had to be sort of a not real fast tune, but it wasn't a waltz. It was faster than a waltz, but it couldn't be a flat foot. It was in between, you know. And they quit doing that. When I left here and joined the Army, and I was gone 7 years, when I come back, nobody did the Paul Jones anymore. I'm like, what? Why don't you do Paul Jones anymore? The thing that you did back in the old days, they do a square dance, a two-step, a flat foot, and a Paul Jones. And then they just, you know, go one right after the other all night.
But those old tunes just feel like something that was left over from an earlier age that was just still around with some of those old fiddlers and Galax.
Exactly. From the time I was a little bitty kid, I used to worry that there wouldn't be anybody to play, because all the people I was playing with growing up were old people, you know, 70 and 80 years old. And I thought, there was no young people my age at that time learning to play music. Very few around here. Me and Greg Hooven, that was about it, you know. And I used to worry. I thought, what am I going to do when they're all gone? I won't have anybody to play music with, you know. But now I don't worry so much, because there are a lot of young people learning to play music, and our music. And well, this music, it represents a region here, you know, and a specific style that lots of other people have tried to replicate, and some of them do a pretty good job replicating it, I might add. But I'm happy about that. I'm glad for that. But I don't want to see it die out. I want to see it, you know, keep going.
You know, one of the things that, you know, about old time music is you do see it getting kind of homogenized when people learn it with the internet, and they don't pay attention to regional styles and that kind of thing, or you listen to people who go travel and perform, and you know, that's been happening for a century, that, you know, as it's gotten spread around, that it's gotten more homogenized. So I do think that one of the really neat things about this music is all the you know, the variety and all the different styles and the different personalities that show through in that, you know, those styles of playing. And I think it's really neat that Eddie can do it all and appreciates all that stuff.
You know, I think the internet's a wonderful thing, and if I had had the internet when I was a kid, I'm sure I would have used it to learn from and all that, and it's great. But the internet can never, ever replace the memories that I have of sitting on the side of the road with Claude Childers and with our two fiddles, you know. That there's something about that one-on-one thing that can't be replaced. And, you know, anytime you play a tune that you learn from this one or that one, every time you play that tune, your mind goes back to that. And that's just special.
Can we try Waves on the Ocean?
Oh, gosh.
That's a little tricky. That's probably one of the hardest ones I've been working on with Eddie. For that reason, you can only play it so fast. It's a little notey. get it there.
That's